Here we go. We are going to take a round trip tour of Fort Michillimackinac. See, we're walking on this bridge. Reminds me a lot of, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, when they had their place in the forest. It's actually pretty cool. We're going to walk along here and take everybody on a tour of this cool fort. It's actually pretty, well, probably shouldn't cuss on a video, but bad, you know what. These houses. Oh, my cute kid, Kai. Yeah, see, you just keep walking. Goes around the whole thing. Yeah, these barracks you can walk up. We did a couple of times. Kai's gonna be awesome enough to demonstrate. You can go up there and, yep, we even get a little dance from her. What an amazing kid. Okay, we're gonna continue on. Yeah, you can just see, just walk right along. It's a nice little drop down. Yeah. Just keep going. Look at that roof. That roof is definitely different. Not what I would expect. But then again, this is from what, back 1700s, 1800s? Apparently they didn't have shingles back then. See, look. What's really cool about this fort, I think, is it's right on the bay. As you'll see coming up. As we come up to the next, let's say. Oh, we may have lucked out and be watching a demonstration. That'll be cool.
Welcome to our artillery demonstration. My name is Steven. I'm joined out here by Aaron and Craig. The piece of artillery that we'll be demonstrating for you all today is our light bronze 6-pound field piece. This is just one of the types of artillery that they would have had stationed here during the 1770s. And it's a very powerful weapon on an 18th century battlefield. And there's a couple of things that make it such a good weapon. One of them is that it's highly mobile. It's made out of bronze, it's a lot lighter weight than a heavier iron cannon, and it's got these nice big wheels on it. You can move it anywhere you need to on the battlefield. There's actually a quote from the year 1777 that says, "Anywhere a goat can go, a man can go. Anywhere a man can go, he can drag a gun." This is the type of gun they're talking about. It's very highly mobile. You can also talk about its accuracy and its long range. It can hit a 6-pound cannonball and launch it up to 1 mile. If you look back behind me on the bridge, as the cables come down, there's a big cement wall. That's about 1 mile from our current location. If you go into town, the Starline Ferry dock is also 1 mile from us. So imagine a nice circle around the fort at that mile distance, and that's the area of control. If the enemy army wanted to attack Michillimackinac, once they got within that mile range, the artillery could begin to open fire. Now at that distance, they're basically just warning shots. You're probably not going to hit much of anything. You're going to wait until the enemy gets about 1,000 yards, now being able to hit something the size of that blockhouse up there with your cannonballs. If the enemy doesn't get the hint and they keep coming closer, once they get within 400 yards, you can load down case shots. A big tin can packed full of musket balls, turn this can into a massive shotgun. Good for clearing out anything and anyone in front of it for 300 to 400 yards. The artillery here at Michillimackinac is a very powerful fort defense. Though historically it was never used for fort defense because no one attacked this place. Even though we're talking about the era of the American Revolution, no enemy army ever comes up and besieges Michillimackinac. The cannons were never fired in anger, but they were still being fired. And they're firing them for 2 main reasons. First one is practice. Practice makes perfect. It is especially important to train up a gun this size because a full unit should be over 12 members of the Royal Regiment of Artillery. These are specialized soldiers within the British government that are trained to use these cannons. At the end of the day, this is a big bronze tube on a wheel. It's quite easy in practice to use, but it's difficult to be able to hit your target. It's smooth bore, there's no right to, it is simply lobbing that 6-pound ball. If you want to hit your target, you need soldiers who are trained in geometry, trig trigonometry, physics, all these math and sciences that go into hitting your target with this weapon. So a full crew of artillery soldiers are quite proficient with these cannons. The problem for Michillimackinac, though, is that historically, even though we have 11 pieces of artillery stationed here, and should have had over 100 artillery soldiers, they had the same number that you are currently looking at. 1. That's what I'm dressed as, the blue regimental instead of the red infantry coat. And these artillerymen that were stationed here really weren't that high rank in the artillery. The Royal Artillery had 3 main types of privates: matrosses, gunners, and bombardiers, before getting into corporals, sergeants, and officers. Michillimackinac usually only got matrosses and bombardiers. And these guys did not have the best of times at Michillimackinac in certain years. As someone has mentioned to you today that we are talking about secrets and scandals for this weekend, the artillerymen kind of moved a little bit of drama here at the fort. In 1771, a matros, that low-level artilleryman, was working at the front of the gun for his cannon salute. That is, running down the black powder, no cannonball, and firing it off in celebration. Well, something went wrong and he didn't properly clean up the gun from the last fire, and it ended off going off early and hitting some of his fingers along with the ramrod and sending them into Lake Michigan. That was a big problem for that matros. Luckily for him, he survived that. In 1775, another matros is not so lucky. The same thing happens to him. It goes off early and horribly burns his arm and later takes his life from the infection. Another group of matrosses that don't have a good time is a replacement matros is coming from off east and further up into Canada. On his way here, most likely in Lake Erie, he drowns. Okay, they'll send another replacement artilleryman here to Michillimackinac. He makes it to about right here. And then getting off the boat into a smaller boat, he also drowns. So not the best time for matrosses here at Michillimackinac. Don't worry about me though. With this little gold epaulet on the shoulder, I luckily took the rank of bombardier. The bombardier is a little bit better luck here at Michillimackinac. But no matter if they were the poor matrosses or the bombardiers, they'd be doing the same job here at Michillimackinac, training people in how to use this gun. So I want to go through a training process with Craig and Aaron and show you a little bit of how this process works. First thing you'll need to do is prepare for action. As I mentioned, this is a mobile piece. Everything you need to fire is strapped to the gun. You have to take off all the pieces before you can fire. The box Aaron's taking off, one box just like it on the other side. Very important that you take off. Those are ammunition lockers. They're full of explosives. You don't want that next to the barrel while it's firing. One stray spark gets in there, and it's going to be a bad day for everyone on the cannon crew. We also have some tools and couplings on the gun. Tools used for cleaning and loading, and the couplings just there to make sure nothing gets shoved down the cannon while we're not out here. Now that the cannon is ready to go, we can get our crew into position. Now you might remember me mentioning that a full crew is over a dozen people. Luckily they have provisions on how to do with as few as 3 soldiers. So now we can man out the beast. Aaron's moving to the front of the gun. She gets to be lucky and act as our matros. She's working at that dangerous muzzle end. Everything gets loaded in that way and everything gets fired out that way. If something goes wrong, it can quite literally blow up in her face. Luckily there are safety steps, and as long as you follow them, it's a lot safer. First safety step is get there, just the attention command, sit up straight, await more orders. 10, ready? Craig's going to take this thumb and control the back of the gun. Later on, this is going to create a vacuum in the barrel, making sure there's no open flame that could ignite early. So now make sure there's nothing down the can. Sir, Pete! Aaron will run that big corkscrew known as the worm down there, pull out any solid debris. The charge from last time, a bird's nest, a wad of gum, we want nothing down there. Now we need to make sure there's nothing hot down there. Otherwise, you'll end up like that matros that had going off early. So we will advance, sponge. Take the sponge, it's a tool that you'll dip in a little bit of water and run that down the barrel. That water, along with the vacuum created by Craig's thumb, will extinguish anything hot. Sponge piece! Now, if you wanted to, you could do this entire process incredibly quickly. An aim shot every 15 to 20 seconds. Or if you're just doing a speed firing, you might be able to fire every 5 seconds. Incredibly quick, but you better make sure you sponge out that gun and there's nothing hot down there. Now we can safely load down our charge and handle cartridge, and we'll come back to our ammunition locker and pull out one of our charges. Historically, a tactical charge would be about 1.5 pounds of powder in a blue flannel bag tied directly to the cannonball. A salute charge might be 1 pound of powder, 2 pounds of powder, or even 4 pounds of powder. Those being kind of your celebratory kaboom. We've had about 14 ounces of powder wrapped in historically inaccurate tinfoil, but nice and safe tinfoil. Load! And we'll place that into the muzzle of the gun, pick up the sponge again and flip it over to reveal the rammer, a solid wooden block on the other end that we will ram down cartridge, push that charge all the way to the back of the gun, give it a few hits, and put it right under where Craig's been covering up his thumb. That way we can create a fuse using that touch hole. Prime! Take a long brass needle, just like the one I have here, run it down that touch hole, and that will open up our charge. Once the charge has been opened, he's got a small tin on his waist that has priming fuses inside of it. These would have been tin tubes packed full of black powder. Take a piece of burning match and touch the top of the fuse. It'll ignite, sending a jet of flame down to the barrel and get everything else to combust. At this point, the cannon will be loaded, it'll be primed. There is another step though, you actually want to be able to hit something. That is to take aim. This is where the skill of the artilleryman will come into play. A large wooden spike back here that can be lifted up to tilt left or right. There's also a large screw under where Craig was working. As you twist that screw, it'll change the elevation or angle of the gun. But we are just about ready to fire. I do want to warn you all though, this is a cannon. It can be a little bit loud. I'm going to be cheating using the foam here pieces. Your fingertips will work perfectly if you so choose. Once I get these in, we only have 2 more commands to fire. And those 2 commands are: make ready, fire!
Alright, really not sure how we top that. I don't have any cannons to fire off except, you know, my mouth at times, but we will continue our tour of Fort Michillimackinac. And wow, that was loud. Neat though. What'd you think, Kai?
It was pretty cool. It was a little loud though, so I jumped a little. But it was pretty cool.
That makes 2 of us. I did jump as well. Okay, we have another sentry point. It's pretty neat. Like I said, it's like walking the treetops in Sherwood Forest in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Got these steps right here that take you down if you so choose. I'll show you here in a second. Yeah, step down or you can continue on, continue up, which we are going to do. More cannons. It's neat though. If you look out, the cannons facing right out into the bay. Oh, there is the Mackinaw Bridge as well. Look at that water. Okay, we're going to continue on to our next little bit of the tour. There you get a nice, good view of the grounds, which I think is neat. I think this whole setup is really neat. How they have it, and we're sitting here walking a story above it. This part is pretty cool. Walking up on the church, actually. We walked through it, just one big room. It did have a confession place though. I confessed to everybody. I did eat some chocolate while I was on my trip. I'll do better when I get back. Yeah, see that? It's pretty neat actually. This roof is definitely better done than the other one. It's pretty neat. Hey, look at this building. Big old chimney. Oh, lady pushing stuff in a wheelbarrow. I will say this, they do have a lot of period actors out here right now that I thought was pretty neat. I just saw the British soldiers, they have people pushing stuff around. Makes you really almost feel like, you know, back in the day. Coming up on another sentry point. look outside the walls. I was reading that actually had people build houses outside the walls because it got so full inside here.
Oh, I see some.
Yeah, we'll walk up the steps. Try to give everybody a good look. Yeah, see, here's some houses. House there, there's a house there. Supposed to represent an encampment. Yeah, oh, that same lady, that's where she's headed. Well, that's pretty neat. Alright. Alright, so that will conclude our little tour of the fort. Colonial Michillimackinac fort. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We did. It was actually pretty neat. I still can't get over this whole walkway thing though. I've walked it twice.